Some of them overlap quite a bit. Especially the environmental hazard management and the transportation certificate are two that are very closely aligned with the Master of Urban Planning, while some of the others are more aligned with other master's programs across the school. The idea, I think most of our certificates are 15 credits or 5 classes. I think maybe health systems design is 18. I know Ray can correct me on that one. But I think most of the rest of them are 5 courses or 15 credits. And like I said, it's designed so that you don't have to take extra credits beyond your master's degree. You should be able to finish the certificate within the 48 credit hours of the MUP and the two-year period. I think we have people from a number of the certificates here, but not all of them. So I'm just going to go ahead and list the certificates real quick. The Sustainable Urbanism Certificate comes out of the Center for Housing and Urban Development. The Transportation Certificate and the Environmental Hazard Management Certificate come out of the Hazard Reduction and Recovery Center. The Center for Health Systems and Design the Certificate for Health Systems and Design, comes out of the Center for Health Systems and Design. We have a Historic Preservation Certificate that's part of the Center for Heritage Conservation, and we have a Facilities Management Certificate that comes out of the CRS Center. I think that's all of them. So that's my introduction. Is there anything else you want me to cover, Evis? Or...
No, I think that was perfect.
Okay, great.
And then I don't know if like Tina, you might have anything to add.
The only thing I have to add is that you don't have to apply for the certificate right away before you start taking coursework. You can apply later, even after you've started taking coursework towards the certificate. I get that question a lot. So you don't have to do it like your first semester or anything, but you should go ahead and start getting acquainted with the certificates and the course requirements for those certificates, so that you can kind of plan out the coursework you want to take. And you're not required to do a certificate, but they are listed on your diplomas and stuff when you graduate that you have a certificate in something. But yeah, it's not required. And it's very easy to apply, and Dr. Katie Reed helps with the application process for the certificates.
Well, excellent. Thank you so much. So Walt, you're first. And I put that link to this like PowerPoint, but I can put it, but just everybody also has it.
Yeah, are you going to put it up while as we're talking about it, or?
Sure. Let me just like. Yeah.
Yes. So the Environmental Hazard Management Certificate. So basically, this certificate really looks at, or the coursework in this area looks at those relationships between communities, their built environment, and environmental hazards. Really kind of thinking about when you think about disasters, for example, it really is not just the nature of the hazard itself that results in damage or in the impacts, but it really is that interaction between communities and social systems, the built environment, and the hazard as well too, and stuff. So the focus areas are hazard mitigation and climate adaptation, general environmental planning, disaster recovery, as well as emergency management. So those are kind of the different areas that you can focus on in terms of the certificate. Again, it is supported by the Hazard Reduction and Recovery Center. As Shannon was saying, these certificates are really open to all graduate students throughout the university. but a large number of our students that are in our programs are actually participating in that as well too. These are, I think you're going to distribute these as well too, right? Oh, well, they've got it. So there are hyperlinks in here so you can get access to the information. Can we go back? Can we go back, Eva?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I don't know why it jumped in there.
As Shannon was saying, most of these certificates are 15 hours of coursework. So we're basically talking about five classes. For the different emphasis areas in the environmental hazard management, there are sets of courses that you can take. So you'll see a variety of different courses that can be pulled together. So while you can sign up at any point in this, I do encourage you to kind of think about the certificates and get kind of a plan for that as well. Especially at the master's level, you know, you've got a limited number of years and courses that you want to take. So there's no reason to waste any courses you take to qualify. So there's coursework, and then your professional paper, or you know, if you're doing the thesis option or dissertation, should be related to broader issues of environmental hazard management as well too. And so we have a group of faculty that can evaluate that as well to ensure that it fits. I will be quite frank and say that we're flexible in our notions of how things fit as well too. And I think you'll find that across all the different programs. There's again a hyperlink as well too for the application form that's on this slide, and I suppose the other slides as well too. If you have any other questions, please stop by, send me an email, and we can set up an appointment to kind of talk about what are the options, who's teaching the classes and the like, and fill you in on more of the details. That's it.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And we'll present all the certificates, and then we will have time for questions. I have trouble moving the slides. I don't know if it seems that Galen is not here. I don't know.
I can do that one. I actually am center director for the Center for Housing and Urban Development now, which means that the sustainable urbanism comes out of that center. And so I'll go ahead and talk about it. And then I think it looks like I have another one later. So the Sustainable Urbanism Certificate is really, like the slide says, focused on the processes that shape the built environment and its function, particularly with the integration of land use with urban design, energy, materials, biodiversity, natural hazards, and accessibility. And you guys as planners, you know, everything you do is sustainable. So it's a really good fit, and it's very easy to get because many of our required courses are part of the Sustainable Urbanism Certificate. It is open to all graduate students, and like the other program or the other certificates, it requires 15 hours of coursework, including your professional paper or project that has content that's significantly related to sustainable urbanism. And of course, that's really easy to do because almost anything that a planner would do for a professional study would fall under sustainable urbanism. So you don't really have to stretch a lot to find a topic that would fit under there. One thing about the Sustainable Urbanism Certificate that can be confusing to the planning students is that, at least while the way it's currently written, it requires 2 studios, because most of our professional master's programs across the school have 2 studios. The MUP used to have 2 kind of applied planning courses that we counted as studios, but it only has 1 now. So we typically would count another course that works with the community to count as your other studio. So Like Dr. Peacock said, we can be pretty flexible. We're also willing to consider courses, other new courses that are offered across campus. It can be difficult for us to keep up with new courses that are being offered and out in other departments and certainly in other colleges or schools. And so if you bring us a class that you want to be counted towards the certificate, we can take a look at the syllabus and determine whether it would be appropriate for the Sustainable Urbanism Certificate. All right, that's all I have.
Can I add something there? The other thing is that there also are courses across these certificates that count as well too. So just simply, you know, I mean, there are courses that are shared, and so it is possible that you can have you know, one or two certificates that you're taking and the courses would qualify as well.
A great point. Thank you, Walt. And this one, I don't think that Gregory is here.
No, I can probably talk about this one too. No, I don't know as much about it because it is certainly not really within LAUP's realm of expertise. And at least in the last 15 years, I can't think of an MUP student who has taken the facilities management certificate. But it's really focused on facilities management. So how we can manage our built environment, particularly from like a building management, building controls and things like that, which are obviously an important part of sustainability, but how we can manage our facilities to be more sustainable. It's typically taken by construction science students and I think maybe some architecture students.
And Ray. I think I saw Ray. Oh, hold on.
Yes, I was trying to get my camera to turn on. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, no worries.
Yes, I'm here, and I hope everybody can hear me and see me. Thanks for the opportunity to talk about our certificate. Before I get into that, Evis, it might interest you and the others that about 30 years ago, it's hard for me to say that with a straight face, but about 30 years ago, I was involved with a piece of research that looked at specialty curricula, such as is evidenced by the getting certificates and that sort of thing. And what that research revealed, now admittedly, we did it in the field of healthcare, are relevant across the board. What we found was that students that come through a college experience with a specialty are preferentially hired compared to those who come through as generalists. We found that they not only were preferentially hired, but they were hired at higher starting salaries. And we found, I'm reaching back 30 years now, but I believe the third finding that we had was that they advanced firm than people with generalist backgrounds. Now, all of that was not so much a great discovery as it was confirmation of what we all suspected, because people that come through a specialty training program at a university come up to speed faster in a firm. There's not as much startup, there's not as much base learning. They hit the ground running faster than people from generalist backgrounds. So as we talk about offering certificates and specializations, there is, from that experience 30 years ago now, but nevertheless, there's a clear indication that the industry values that. And that was real clear from our findings. We did that as a study funded by the AIA, and results were very interesting. But again, not so much discovery as confirmation of what we suspected. And you would expect that for all the certificates that we offer as well. So just a by the way kind of thing, if you're looking at doing something with your college experience that should translate to value quickly when you leave the university and enter the workforce, specialty training in any of these, I believe 7 different certificates would be a great way to spend your time. Having said that, let me tell you about our certificate. It's a 16-hour. Shannon, you're right. It's not 15. It is 16. And the extra hour is our Friday midday lecture series. But the 16 hours is broken down and it works either for M.Arch or PhD students or MS students. The M.Arch and PhD students would take 6 hours of those 16 and use the final study or dissertation. 3 hours is a required course in health research and design, and then 1 hour is that Friday lecture. So 10 of the 16 are required for M.Arch and PhD students. The other 6 hours are elective. And with MS, it's very similar, except that instead of 6 hours for the final study, it's 3 for the thesis. And you would have then 3 electives, totaling 9 hours to get up to the 16. But the important thing that I can deliver in this is that the health certificate, and this is a very unfortunate misunderstanding, the certificate from the Center for Health Systems and Design is not, I repeat, not just about how to design hospitals. There was a time in this program when designing health care facilities was our primary focus, but that's no longer the case. The emphasis now from the center is design for health. And we take that in 3 different areas of emphasis. One is about design that protects health. And you can get into things like indoor air quality and resilient design, protection from natural disasters, those kinds of things, even seismic design. If you really wanted to study that, you can look at design that protects our health. Design that develops better health is the second area. And I would illustrate that maybe with school design. The things that we're learning from neuroscience research about how the school building itself contributes significantly to better learning. We know how to use design to improve tests and scores. So actually designing without research these days is pretty reckless, and I would argue foolish. The research is so compelling that designing buildings these days for enhanced performance is pretty understandable and pretty expected. And the third bucket, of course, is restoring health, and that's where health care lives in our curriculum. But protecting health, developing better health, and restoring health once it is impaired are our 3 areas. So as you think about whether or not to pursue our certificate, you can have a lot of choice. It's not just about healthcare. In fact, when we changed our focus from healthcare to design for health, we broadened our reach and involved faculty fellows from every other school, every other college in A&M. So if you wanted to study something that involved design for health policy or engineering for health outcomes or medicine or nursing or public health or any of those other disciplines that could contribute to what you wanted to study in protecting, developing, or restoring health, we can put that team together as multidisciplinary as any you could imagine. Design for health, and this is the final point that I'll make, Avis, and hand it back to you. Designing for health, and this is something you've got to face as an architecture student. Design for health is something that will impact every single project you ever do for your entire career. There's not a single building that you can name that doesn't impact the health of its users, its occupants. And so as you think about your career and you think about drawing beautiful structures and having them built and walking inside them one day and experiencing that, and it is thrilling to do. But as you think about that, realize every building that you ever do will impact the health of the people in it. And you need to ask yourself ethically, morally, as a design professional, are you prepared for that responsibility? Are you trained? Are you equipped? Do you know where to go in the research to find out about those health effects? Because your clients are going to expect you to deliver not only safe, protective environments, but environments that will develop their health to better levels, and certainly environments that are restorative when they're stressed and not feeling well. So every building, think about that word every when you think about the possibility of design and getting our certificate. We'd love to have you in the program. We'd love to explain design for health to you in our 3 different areas. Whatever building you want for your final study, we can overlay a design for health emphasis and make it fun. So we'd love to hear from you.
Well, thank you so much, Ray. And I think that Monica is in charge now of this the historic preservation certificate. Oh, I think I cannot hear you, Monica. No, I cannot hear you still. Maybe you want to come back, like get out and come back. Maybe that's. But I could see that you were unmuted though. We could also, yeah, see if we could have like channel talking about it's a community development, and then see if Monica got her sound to work. Or sorry, it's like
I can,
Ways
I
back.
can, I
sorry.
can, if Way's not here, I can jump in on transportation, but,
Perfect.
Way's here. Way is here.
oh,
Oh.
good, good.
Yes. Hello, everybody. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So this is Wei. I am the coordinator for the Transportation Certificate Program. So this program has been helping a lot of students during the past years to successfully land a job in the transportation field. A lot of them ended up working for the metropolitan planning organizations, some at the state planning agencies, the TxDOT, and some ended up working for consulting firms, engineering and transportation planning firms. So this certificate is very is unique in a way that the way it is set up. It has 2 most important courses. The first course is the Plan 612. That is the introductory to transportation course. That course is like a buffet restaurant. You walk into a buffet restaurant, you are presented all kinds of dishes, and basically that course will give you an overview of what are the common transportation topics, from how laws are made to how transportation funding is secured, from bicycle pedestrian planning to autonomous vehicles and driving and transit. So that course will give you a background of transportation. So after you take that course, you will have a chance to select a few other transportation courses or courses that are closely related to transportation, such as the GIS. And so you have 3 courses to select. Now, then the last course will be Plan 678. That is a transportation studio course. The transportation studio course will give you an opportunity to apply the knowledge, the skills you have learned to a real world transportation project, from analyzing traffic in a small town to planning for a route redesign for a larger metropolitan area. So if you mentioned, you have learned that I've introduced two specific courses, Plan 612 and Plan 678. Those two courses are required. The other three transportation courses or closely related transportation courses are more flexible because the department is not able to guarantee all of the courses that are listed on the menu are offered in the semester. So I highly encourage everybody who is interested in transportation certificate to make an appointment with me and let me know your interest. I could sit down together with you and make a plan about what are the best courses you might take in addition to 612 and 678 and get you a free transportation certificate that will be helping you to market yourself as an expert in the area of transportation planning.
Well, thank you so much, Ray. And Monica, can we go back to you?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes.
Okay, wonderful. So I'm actually not in charge. We have a new faculty member, Fabricio Amaris here now, and he will be working with our historic preservation certificate, but I will be assisting him. So if students have questions about the certificate, we are new to this process, and Dr. Katie Reed is assisting us as we navigate through this, but it is a 15-hour certificate that is transcribable, and it is open to all graduate students at Texas A&M University. And there is an application process, and we are accepting applications, but again, you don't have to decide now. You can come and talk with us, and we can look at the courses if they are interested with you, and then assist you in applying for it. I can tell you that the facilities management certificate, I don't believe is open for applications at this time, though, but the historic preservation certificate is. And that's all I know.
Right. Well, thank you so much. And then we have the Shannon with the community development certificate.
All right, and I think I forgot to mention this one at the beginning because it is our newest certificate program. And I frankly don't think we've awarded one yet because I think it's only been around for less than 2 years. So, but the community development certificate is closely aligned with our kind of community economic development and housing emphasis area in the MUP. It addresses issues related to decision-making and leadership, particularly within kind of nonprofit type of organizations that work within neighborhoods and work in the community development arena, like community development centers, CDCs. Like when I first heard the term CDC, I didn't recognize it as Centers for Disease Control, but rather community development centers, of which there are not a ton in Texas, but there are a few, and you will find them in other states as well. So it's really looking at human organization communication, institutional capacity, resource mobilization and management, because typically community development centers are going to be charged with raising funds and carrying out activities with money from philanthropists, sometimes money from local communities, but it's a lot different than working for a city, for example. It's also a different certificate in that it only requires 12 hours of coursework. And part of the reason for that is that we have somewhat fewer elective courses in that area within the Department of Landscape Architecture and Urban Planning, but there are also electives available outside of the department, and certainly I think even outside the school. There may be courses listed from like ag leadership and some of the degree programs over in the College of Ag which also has kind of a similar focus. So if this is something that you're interested in, you can come talk to me.
Well, thank you so much. So I am going to close these slides so we can have some time for questions. So we have, yeah, about 10 minutes for questions. I see the majority of the students are from the first year, which is the perfect time to be thinking about the certificates.
Okay, I have a question, Evis.
Thank you.
Wait, so I don't know if I missed it or not, but is there a certain deadline we should apply for these by?
That's a good one for Thina to answer.
There's no deadline per se. You need to do it before the last semester that you graduate so that everything can be approved and ready to go when you go to graduate. So you can make sure that you have all the coursework down that you need down. So I would recommend that to do it no later than the semester before you no later than the semester before you graduate.
Okay,
And there's
thank you.
a point where you have to apply for graduation. It's usually in February of the spring semester before you graduate in May. That would be a good dedeadline, I think.
Yeah.
Like no later than that.
Yeah, no later than when applications for graduation open.
Just be careful because there are different numbers of required courses or sets of courses for some of these. So you don't want to get locked in where you're in your last semester and then realize you're a course short for a certificate. So I certainly pay attention to that as well.
I was just getting ready to say that, Walt. I couldn't agree more. It's fine to have a not later than date, but our advice to people interested in the health certificate is come in as soon as you possibly can so that we can lay out those classes over the semesters of your graduate study and be sure that the classes you need are offered in the semesters that remain to you. They may not be offered every semester. Be sure that professors that you want from other colleges especially are available and that we can make sure you can get into those classes. I would urge erring on the side of extra time and not the drop dead date. I would encourage students to come in at their earliest convenience and lay out that curriculum.
That's a good point. You can always apply for a certificate, and then if something were to happen and you were not to be able to finish the certificate, there's no penalty for that. So that's a good point. So probably the earlier the better.
Yeah, I would say do it when you're filing your degree plan, because that's when you're setting out the courses you're going to take anyway. And you can always make changes. You can file petition if you need to change a course that's on your degree plan, but you should plan out your certificate when you're planning out your degree.
Some students ask questions, hey, I'm graduating, I want to get a certificate, but there's this course that I didn't take. I'm willing to spend more money and spend extra course just for the sake of a certificate. Well, that is a scenario you do not want to get into. So plan early, because all these certificates are basically free of charge advertisement instruments for you to market yourself. And we hope with good planning, you won't have to take extra classes in addition to the credits required for your degree. So you can get the certificates, plan it well without taking any extra classes. All the classes you take should be counted towards your degree as well. So plan early and don't miss any important classes that are required for the certificate. The earlier you plan, the better position you are.
Look, this is Ray again. I'm sorry to jump in so much, but there are some real subtleties that you don't want to get surprised by. And each of these certificates is different. For example, with our certificate, summer internships are not accepted for course credit. International study tours, not accepted for course credit. Some of the courses that we offer that we accept are accepted only if the work that's done in the course relates to health in some way. You could take a programming class, for example, and not have anything in the class related to health, either designing for health or for health care. It would be difficult to accept a class like that if there was no connection to health. The content of what you do in the class needs to relate to the certificate. So reading the fine print, finding out what's eligible and not eligible will keep you from that conversation of, well, so-and-so got credit for that course. Well, maybe because of the work they did in the class, but surprises are not good. Read them closely and then sign up as soon as you can.
I see Faith asked a question.
Yeah. Is it possible to take 2 of these certificate courses? For me, I think I will be interested in urbanism and community development, because I want to focus on housing and community development. So is it possible to take 2 of these courses at the same time?
It is possible. It's not always easy. Like there are some that it's easy to do 2 at a time, but not all of them. And like looking at the community development courses, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge to do that. Well, frankly, there's some changes that I need to make right away that I can see. But right now it would be difficult to do it and another certificate. But sustainable urbanism and almost anything else are very doable. So it really depends. And sometimes you may just have to prioritize one over the other.
Okay.
That really is also a point of discussion with the folks running the certificates as well too. There is some flexibility there that some things can be counted across both. Sometimes they're already listed in that way, i.e. a course that would fit in both, but at other times one certificate group may not have considered another course, and then when we look at the content there is a relationship, and so it might be possible. So again, kind of thinking about that early, planning that out early and discussing with the certificate folks can help in terms of making that. But I do agree with Shannon that the sustainable urbanism one is probably one of that runs the gambit in a variety of different areas as well.
Okay, thank you.
There was a question in the chat about a list of courses and when they're offered to help the students plan, and that is a really good point. We have had a list like that in the past. I don't think we have one right now, but it's something that Dr. Garcia-Athena and I can work on. As we're right now, we're revising the MUP curriculum, and so we're figuring out which electives need to be offered and how frequently. But we can make a kind of a tentative list of what's being offered right now currently.
But each of the certificates, they do have the courses listed there. Whether or not they're offered and stuff is a different.
Yeah, that's a different question.
So looking at the courses across the certificates is possible right now. The actual scheduling can be difficult to, because they're going to be faculty person is on development leave and stuff, and so it doesn't. That course may not be offered. So again, making decisions early, trying to plan those out, planning out the options is an important thing to do.
And we have no control over when courses in other departments are offered. So that's something that's one of the reasons that we give you a long list of courses that you can choose from, because while we can control what's offered in our departments, so the plan courses and the land courses and the LDEF courses, we can't do that for anything outside of our department.
There's like 2 questions on the chats. So one is like, will Plan 670 be offered in the future? I cannot quite remember which one is that. And the other one is about the transportation classes. It seems like not all of them that are listed are actually being offered.
You know, what's 670? That's a health one, isn't it?
No, that's transportation.
Oh, that's
the
that's
one that-
public. That's public transportation.
Yeah, that's the one Katie and Tim
Katie
and
and-
teach. But it hasn't had a lot of draw, but Katie was not able to teach it this fall, so.
Yeah, that's one thing with the transportation, and Wei can take a look at this in the certificate, but we often have transportation courses taught by researchers from the Texas Transportation Institute, which is great because they have real life projects, and most of them are also fabulous teachers. But it's also going through a transition. A lot of our folks that have been teaching for us for a long time have retired, like Tim Lomax. But our transportation capstone class is still offered by Bill Isley, who's over at TTI. But we should probably take a look at the courses that are being offered and talk with Katie about which ones they want to continue to offer.
Yeah, and then there might be.
That's exactly right.
Our substitutes, Melissa had an idea. It says a substitute for that is 673, and that is a fantastic course. So I guess, yes, we could make a list of the courses and see which ones have not been offered for a while. But I assume that there's always the option of substituting a course that hasn't been offered as well. And
yeah.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I say just for a rule of thumb, for transportation courses during the past several years, the 3 courses that have been always offered every year are Plan 612, the Introduction to Transportation, Plan 678, the Transportation Studio, and Plan 673, the Sustainable Transportation. So all these 3 classes have always been offered every year.
Well, thank you so much. So the purpose again of this meeting is if you're in the 2nd year, this will be a good time to look and see if you qualify for that certificate and meet with people and get your paperwork ready before graduation. And then for the 1st year students, for the next semester, you can start thinking about which classes you might take, and when you have your degree, need to submit your degree plan. So that will be again for next semester that you have to do that. That will be a good time to also this semester or at the beginning of next semester meet with some of the people that you have met today to talk about the certificates and come up with that degree plan. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here and promoting the certificates and considering doing one of these certificates. I will post the recording and share it with everyone for those that could not be here. Thank you again. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you, Evis. Awesome job.
Bye.